EU. Let's bring in my next guest now, Pablo O'Hana. Pablo, always a pleasure to have your company. Freedom of movement is meant to end today, except it could begin again next Monday. Are you confused?
Well, the first thing to know about this is that Brexit, as we know, has not really worked out in the way that anybody wanted, regardless of how you voted. Brexit is still... Well, Brexit's still costing us £1 million per hour. That means every single household across the UK is around £2,000 worse off because of wages, prices, public services, that sort of stuff. So we know Brexit isn't working right now. I don't think that this US deal is all that it's cracked up to be. And if I was to be really generous about this deal with the US, one of the biggest selling points of leaving the EU was that we'd be at the front of the queue for this deal with the US. Well, we finally got this much touted US deal. And, well, the good news is that it should bring in, let's be generous, £100,000 an hour. So we're still at a net loss of £900,000 per hour to this country from leaving the EU.
Pablo, where do you get this £1 million an hour figure from? Have you been at Diane Abbott's abacus?
No, that is from the Office of National Statistics. That is the government's own figure about the economy, the hit to our economy from leaving the EU. If we align ourselves with the EU and we get great British products back on to European shelves, then what's the problem? Surely we should all want that.
Pablo, back to the point of freedom of movement. We voted to take back control. Sir Keir Starmer said today, I believe in taking back control. That's the precise opposite of allowing millions of young Europeans into Britain on 3-year work visas. It'll be back to square one. It'll be back to Pret a Manger's, boozers, plasterers, brickies, electricians taking over the job market.
Well, you're right. We did apparently vote to take back control. And how's that worked out?
Well, we never did take back control because we had a political class that didn't actually believe in Brexit.
Well,
what about this? What about this?
6 different prime ministers tried, and none of them have been able to deliver it.
Yeah, but answer the question. All those prime ministers promised to take back control. We heard that today. This isn't taking back control. It's about surrendering control to Brussels.
But it's not about surrendering control. This is a two-way relationship. What I'm saying is that 6 prime ministers have tried to deliver this proper Brexit that you seem to want, that you want absolutely nobody coming into the country, which is ridiculous because they benefit.
No one's ever said that. It's about controlling more borders. It's about controlling quality. It's about the right skills, the right pay grades. It's not about flooding the market with cheap, unskilled labour. That's what youth mobility schemes would do.
Youth mobility schemes is about giving access to the whole of Europe, to our young people. It's about giving British people access to the European continent and to the European market so they can travel, they can see new cultures, they can see new ways of living, they can see other countries, they can learn new languages. It's a two-way relationship. I'm going to
bring Heather Wheeler back in here, who's been very, very patient. Heather Wheeler, despite Pablo's maths there of £1 million an hour, 27 into one doesn't go. That's the reality. 27 nation states coming into one nation versus one going out. It's one-way traffic.
Yeah, and what's really interesting to me... What's interesting to me is that the idea that it's a group of young people that will be exchanged. When it comes to older people who've actually bought places abroad, who've settled their lives over there, they're still stuck with the 90-day agreement or whatever. It's that should be negotiated, not this.
Pablo?
I don't have a problem with two-way relationships. We have a relationship with Europe. We are on the continent of Europe. We should be allowing our young people, and indeed all of our citizens, to go across the continent of Europe. This idea that you're talking about 27 countries coming into the UK, that is not how this works.
That's exactly how it works. There are 27 European Union member states that could get into Britain, and there's one non-member state that will be allowed to go there. It's a simple case of maths.
But that isn't how it works. You have not got 27 countries piling into the United Kingdom. That is not what is happening. It is a
hang on, Pablo. So before, when we gave the arrangement for EU citizens who were here,
UK people leaving the UK too. It is a two-way relationship.
Yeah, but 1 to 27 doesn't go, mate. So when we had the arrangement for EU citizens to sign up, it wasn't 1.5 million. It miraculously became 3 million. That's the difference, Pablo.
And it's a simple case. Pablo, when you look at the numbers, let's rewind back in time. Youth mobility schemes between 2012 and 2024, 60% of all of those work visas granted were to people under the age of 30. That's 316,000 work visas, each at 3 years a pop. That's a net accumulation. There you go. A million years of work in Britain if you add the people over 3 years. That isn't good for Britain.
Of course it's good for Britain, because you're getting the best and brightest talent from across our continent. We are a tiny island. We are a fantastic island. I think the greatest in the world. We are a small country and we have to work cooperatively across our continent.
How's that worked out for us so far, mate? It hasn't.
Well, no, it hasn't, because leaving the EU has been a complete disaster. There has not been a part of leaving the EU that has worked for our country. We are an incredible but small country that needs to work with its neighbours on everything from trade to mobility.
All right, final word. Final
27 countries worth
final word. Final word, Pablo, please, to Heather Wheeler. Oi, final word to Heather Wheeler.
What I find fascinating is that we've got a perfectly good, workable economic relationship with Europe. Nobody wants to kill that off. Everybody wants to make sure exports work fine, and they do, because that's what was negotiated. I mean, yep, absolutely, there is paperwork to do. I get that. But before 75, we did paperwork. It is not beyond the wit of man to sort that out.
Okay, we have to leave it there.
It's not working. It isn't. It's costing us £1 million an hour. How's that working?
No.
I still don't
ONS, go figure.
I still don't know where you got that number from. That is utter rubbish. I think you don't even be a abacus. I think you've been on the cocktails you drink on the tube home. Pablo O'Hana, we've got to leave it there. And Heather Wheeler, great ding dong. Always a pleasure. Thanks to you both. Now up next.